So, I was on third-party sites looking at mods over the weekend, and I came across this map. Beulahland Farms Beta by Rookie0352. It's a 4-kilometer map based on a real-life location in coastal North Carolina, specifically in Hyde County, coastal North Carolina. Now, like I said, it's a 4-kilometer map, sometimes called 4X. They are called that for different reasons, but they end up being the same thing. 4X means there's 4 times the normal map. In a 2x2 square, the normal map is 2 kilometers, so putting 2 next to each other will then make it 4 kilometers. It's not, it's actually more of a problem with the bigger size 16x map, because then you hear 8x map, because then it's 8 kilometers. But because they're actually called that for different reasons, should be different numbers on that. So, as you can see, there is a lot of forestry. In fact, there's only 3 productions on the map. There's a lot of land, so you can definitely put whatever productions you want. But the 3 productions are all forestry productions. There's a sawmill up there. I believe this is the paper mill. Yeah, paper factory. And then there's a carpentry up over there. Some of the forestry land is very expensive, but that's because it comes with a lot of land. Now, you can buy a lot of the map, but not quite all of it. Let's go to, oh yay, hotspot. Farmland. So as you can see, you can't buy like right here, and pretty much the main road is not going to be purchasable, and there's areas off of the main road you won't be able to buy. And they'll have random houses and stuff that you then won't be able to get rid of, obviously. But most of the rest of the area is purchasable, so if for some reason you wanted to merge these 2 together, if you bought both of them, you will have the land in between them. And some of the land does come with extra area. Let's see. Like, okay, 12 has a little bit of forestry with it for a very cheap price. There are also 5 pre-built farms. So there's this one, which will be the one you get if you start with the starter farm. And if you don't, you can get it if you buy field 1. And then this one is the only other one where you can see the buildings on the map. And you get it when you buy field 41. It's very expensive, but field 41 is very big. There's also field 55 comes with this farm, which you can't see as a farm, but there is a farm there. 52 comes with this farm. And then 21 comes with my personal favorite farm up here. All the farms are a bit different. They all have what you would expect. They have sheds, they have silos, they have a house, they have containers and a buy point. But they're all set up different, or they have different sheds or different silo systems. So if you don't like building your own farmyard, this has a good selection of different setups for you. It also comes with some floodable fields. The blurb says there's 12 floodable fields. I'm not sure if that is up to date, because the blurb also says there's 72 fields. And it was obviously written before they added field 73, which is the floodable field. I'm also not positive that's how they're counted. The 73 is 1 field, and you can see it's very expensive. It comes with a lot of land. 105 hectares almost. And it's a floodable field, but it's actually split, so it's a couple floodable fields, but only one. And 65 is like that. 65 is a floodable field, and it's split, so I don't know of the 12 floodable fields it mentions if this is counted as 1 or 2. I know like 18 is floodable, 20 is floodable, 48, 65. I'm not sure if all the ones that aren't planted are floodable, but I know that all the floodable ones are not planted, if that makes sense. It does have an animal dealer, which actually I'm basically on, but it doesn't actually have animal pens anywhere. So you would have to put down your own productions and your own animal pens. And again, it's a beta map, which means there will be bugs and there will be frequent updates, or at least updates, some of which may require you to start a new save. And the last thing to really note about the map itself is it does have required mods. I actually appreciate them having required mobs, but I know some people don't like them. But to me, having required mobs is good for the map makers because they don't have to create their own assets, so they can spend more time on the map making side instead of creating assets, especially if they don't know how to create assets, because it is totally different to create a building versus creating a map. So then they'd have to learn how to create the buildings if the base game doesn't have the type of buildings they want to put down. It's also good for the mod makers because they get more downloads and more recognition instead of being included with the map files, because that does happen where the mod makers will give the map makers permission to include their files. But then most people don't read all the credit, so the mod makers don't get the recognition they deserve. And then it's also good for the players because then those buildings and such are in build mode, where a lot of times buildings made for the map or included in map files won't be included in build mode. So then you try to extend a farmyard or create a new one, but have it match the style of the map, and you just can't. You don't have to worry about that. Now there is a limit on how many required mods in that will differ from person to person. I personally think 10 is fine. 10 and under is a good amount. If it's a good enough map, I might be okay with a couple more. If you have more than 15, I'm not even looking at your map. Obviously, the lower limit you have, or the lower amount of mods you're okay with being required, the higher number of maps you've limited. Makes sense in my head. I said that wrong, but I think you get it. Anyway, there's the map. It's a pretty flat map, but it still has a lot of character, and I'm kind of excited about it. So I have bought the very smallest field. And half of the field is gone now because I've put down a house and a garage. And I've planted it with grass. I'm not actually going to use it. I just didn't want it to be blank, and I don't have the stuff to do anything with it. I'll likely turn it into a farm, like a farmyard. But at the moment, there's just half a field of grass, and the other half has my house. I do have a motorbike that I've parked in the driveway, just because I didn't want to leave the driveway empty, but usually the vehicle decorations are a little... Whoa, words gone. Usually vehicle decorations you can't remove. So I just bought the like $4,000 motorbike. I do have it parked, so I won't be tapping into it, but it's there if I decide I want to just drive around the map. And then I have a garage with my only bit of kit, being this tractor, which I've been wanting to play with, but haven't because, well, I just haven't. No real reason. So I got the bigger of the two that comes with this. It was 147 horsepower. It has the front tank, a sprayer. I have the arms for it with the pallet forks. And I got 2 pallets of herbicide. I've already filled up the tractor's fill tank, so this one is only 350 liters left. But we have the equipment to do spraying missions. Well, I guess we have the equipment to do fertilizing missions as well, but we don't have any fertilizer, and we only have $98. So definitely want to find spraying missions so that we don't have to take a loan out to do a mission to make money. So let's speed up time a bit or just get the timescale to a playable timescale and look to see if there's any spraying missions. There's the fertilizing that just came up while we were looking in here, but no spraying yet. So let's go and speed up to 8. And then we'll see if there's any that showed up. Yeah, okay, so now we have 3 spraying missions that showed up. We'll go to 28. As you can see, there are ditches. I think I'll paint that later to break up the grass in between so it actually looks like a driveway. A little more anyway. So also good news. So the power lines are fake, but the signs are real. I don't generally go around just trying to knock them over on purpose, except to test or show that they can be knocked over. But I do enjoy it because when you mess up and you knock over signs, it feels good. I don't know. Anyway, here is one of the farms, the farm that you get when you buy Field 52. Got this giant shed here. It's got a little shed. It's got containers. The little kiosk there is a buy station. Silos. And then across the street there is a house. Now, one thing to note with the ditches, if I was to buy this farm, I would likely smooth out this one area because it is a ditch, but it's been split up and smoothed out all around it that it just looks like it's a hole. But otherwise, there is one of the fields, or one of the farms. And as you can see, this country road doesn't have lines on it or anything. It still has traffic, which I prefer. I think traffic is what makes the map feel alive while you're playing on it. Like all the decorations and the houses and the like vibe of the map makes it feel lived in type of thing. But what actually makes it feel like it's a living place is, for me, the traffic and I guess pedestrians, but that's kind of the same thing. A little bit the field's changing, but even before that was a part of farm sim, I think that it still felt pretty alive. So I appreciate when it's the majority of roads. So here is 41, which is all those green buildings are part of the farmyard that you get when you buy 41. So here is the farms. There's a house right here. I haven't actually bought any of these farms. I'm assuming that the houses with them will have triggers. I've had the farm by field 1 because the first time I loaded up, I started with the start farm. This one has an open shed, so you could use it before you buy it for storage, but it's got a couple other sheds on top of that. Got the containers, the silo system. And yeah, there's the buy point. And then here is our contract field. Now, a lot of the fields are like this, where it's right up against some kind of natural reason for it to not extend, which, makes sense, but it does mean you have to. But the headland around the whole thing is a lot of times very needed because you won't be able to continue with the back implement. And it's still a little foggy, but this view, there is a road over to our left there. So when the traffic comes through, like, oh, you can see a little bit. It just looks so, I don't know if I've been to areas in real life where it is so flat you can see something like that, and it's kind of awe-inspiring. Like, it's so cool, but also kind of creepy, if that makes sense. I'm also very much looking forward to October in game because I imagine that the tree lines will look amazing. maybe we can finish it. I don't know. We still have 7% to go. Let's get rid of that side. I think there is a partial another line. We're going to be so close. But we were not quite able to get it done with the one tank full of fertilizer or herbicide. I think we'll be able to just finish it on this line, which we could probably, yep, there we go. Well, we needed 70 more liters. Okay, so let's save and get our $12,000. And then we can go look at other spraying contracts. That's a very big one. That is kind of close there. This is, yeah, I think we do the big one. Farmland 6. Also going to look to see what is on sale. That is a very big tractor. 778 horsepower. I'm not a big fan of that. I can't think of the word, but it's so annoying to do reversing with that. I wouldn't mind that, but we don't have a tractor. But we need to get a more powerful tractor for this map anyway, so it's probably going to go away before I have the money for it, but that's the only thing in there that is really interesting. We will want a trailer, just a small one, just so that we can bring pallets and stuff from the store, bring them to our... Yeah, we're going to go around, bring them to our yard, so we won't have to go to the store every time we need to fill up. It could go that way, but we're going to go down and around just that way. Was 36 one of them? Seems a good name or number I remember. Yes. So let's grab that. And let's do that. Because if we go around this way, we will be able to see the main farm, or I say the main farm, but the farm you get when you start. You know, use the starter farm option. I don't think that this is going to take a full the full amount of herbicide we have left, so we'll still be able to get started on 6 with this. you will definitely be able to see where we've been on this one, even without the lines. And I think that this is one that does a weird thing. A lot of the fields, oh, maybe it's not. So a lot of the fields that are near the forest edge like this, oh, I guess, oh, there we go. They will do this thing where they will act like the edge isn't straight, and it definitely looks like it is straight. And I think it's because I'm not positive. I'm definitely not an editor expert. I've done very, very basic things with the editor. But I'm pretty sure, or it seems to be something to do with the trees. Like the trees have a circle around them, like their personal space bubble. And I think that's just the field can be made against it, but the GPS lines doesn't register it right. It's really not a major thing. Most of them are like that, where a sliver that you might have to do yourself, but otherwise fine. And you don't have to worry about it on contracts. It's not going to be enough of a sliver to not be able to get to 100% easily. Am I gonna have to? I'm not gonna have to go on the sliver. There we go. Let's get the $3,000 for that. And we still have 80% of the front tank's capacity, which is the majority of the capacity. Okay, so this, when you buy field one, you get this farmland. We're gonna go past it because you also get this shed over here, which is an open shed, so you don't actually need to buy it to be able to use this shed. But then the main farmyard is here, which has another open shed, a very, very big one. And there's the buy point, there's some containers, there's a smaller shed, the silo system here. And this shed is now usable. When I first downloaded the map, it got an update like the next day. But this used to have a whole bunch of decorative items that the map maker was trying to. They were trying something, then they either couldn't get it to work or decided they didn't want to spend the time to get it to work or whatever it was. But it had like boats and workbenches, and it looked real cool, but you couldn't get rid of them. You could get rid of the building, but not the decorations, so there was no use getting rid of the building, but you also couldn't use the building. And then, nice big farmhouse. And like I said, this is the one you'll get if you go with the starter farm. I love that the houses actually have like yard stuff. Like it feels like the real house with a yard that they use. In fact, some of them have people out there using their yard, hanging clothes. Well, I don't think they were actually hanging clothes, but they were next to the clothesline, so my headcanon is they were out hanging clothes from the one I saw. And again, I love just being able to see random vehicles. Makes me almost wonder why I don't play on many flat maps. And then I remember most flat maps have very straight roads and not that many of them, so you don't see as much traffic in, well, not in multiple directions anyway. And even in flatlands, you don't usually see straight roads for that are for a great distance, which is actually by design. They they're generally discouraged from having totally straight roads for too long. One, because if they do that, then you have the west-east sun in your eyes problem. But also, it's more likely there will be accidents because people will start zoning out without having to pay attention to the road. It's kind of like the whole problem with having open roads, like, well, kind of like this. When you don't have anything obstructing your view, you feel safer going at a higher speed than is actually safe. We're actually going to get closer to the end of this line than I thought we would. But if we start from the other side when we come back, we will hopefully be able to get it done. We actually can see where we've been, obviously, by looking at where the weeds are. And we will go this to the left here. I think we can. Yeah, we should be able to take a right at the end of this road and then go up to my favorite farmyard. actually want to just see what this looks like. I assume it will look really cool when we get out to where the water is. Now that area we can see on the other side, it would be a pretty decently long drive, but we could get to it. I actually want to... No, it won't really be close to where I was going to check. I thought we were a little closer to the end of the map there. But definitely a pretty decent view there. And I did want to check the end of the map there because overall the edge of the map is, I think, the weakest part. But again, it's beta, and I'm sure that's not high on the list of priorities when you're working on a map and get it functional, and then get the rest of the map functional before you worry about making sure that the whole edge of the map is pretty. And while I have found some bugs and such, overall it seems very playable. I want to see. Yeah, that is. I was wondering if that area that obviously was made to have something in it or used to have something in it. I was looking to see if it like used to be a house and therefore it would be an unbuyable plot of land. But it does not appear to be an unbuyable plot of land. But we will take this turn just so that you can see what I mean when I say that the edge of the map is the weakest part. You can probably already kind of see. So for most of the map, it's fine. There's the tree line, which makes sense because there's so much forestry. But the parts where the road goes out, not ideal. Now, the map does have a lot of coastline. Now we're just gonna go this way and see if we can. So for a lot of the map, it probably is a great end, but I haven't actually looked out from the coast. So we're going to look out from the coast. We could also just, we'll try seeing from here. And then let's lower the time scale just so it doesn't get dark. So a lot of the map is forestry, so just having the tree line, whatever, that's fine. And a lot of the map is coastline, so having the water is probably fine. It's just in the few places where the road does go off map that having the water is a little awkward. Definitely doesn't break the map. It just is something to note. Okay, now that you've seen some of the coast or the edge of the map, which, like I said, I think it's the weakest part of the map, but it's also the least important part of a map when you're creating it. So I'm not worried about that really. And with a 4x or a bigger map, that is much easier to ignore than in a normal size map. Because, like, I probably would not get 16 or 64 because you can't ignore it from there. I probably wouldn't get 17 or 72 either. But that's like 4 fields out of 73 pretty big size fields, plus all the forestry areas that you could turn into fields if you wanted to. Really not that big of a deal. There are some things you can't avoid. Like if you want to go to the restaurant or the farmer's market, you will not be able to avoid seeing it because the turn to get to the restaurant is right before a road goes off map, and the farmer's market is right at the edge of the map. Although the farmer's market has a playground, and that makes it all right. So really, only the restaurant, and you don't have to stop and look. It's just a turn. So there is the carpentry. Yep, carpentry. One of the reproductions, obviously. And there's a floodable field. And then when you buy field 21, you would get this area, which there's a house. And then some containers in the silos, which is part of the reason why it's my favorite. I haven't actually bought it, but it looks like they're the single grain bins. They need augers for, and I love those. And then it's got 2 open sheds, so you can even use those before you buy it. With 2 more for once you buy it anyway. I think that's a shed, right? The tunnel. There's, like I said, my favorite of the 5 pre-built farms, and I think we've looked at all but one, right? We definitely looked at this one on our way. Yeah, then we did 20. So we looked at 41. We looked at 1. So there's 4. So the only one we haven't seen is the one you get when you buy 55. I think we'll get to it faster from here. Okay, so it has an open shed. The fire station. Nice big shed. I don't know if it has a actual workbench, repair place, or if it just has decoration, but silo systems. And let's see, let's look at this. We get it with 55, so I don't think we own that. I think this is the house that comes with it. Yeah. But there is the last farm that we hadn't seen yet. And now we can make our way back to our piece of land. We can increase the time scale. I just wanted to be able to see all that before it got dark. And we will be done for the day because, well, it's going to be getting dark. And can finish field 6 in the morning. I'm planning on 3-day months, so tomorrow is still September. Obviously, it says September 1, so there's at least 2, but it's 3.